Hi, Sarah here with a layout process video for you today. This is for Thompson's craft supplies. I'm guest designing this month and I'm using the current March kit, which is called Dazzle in the Darkness. So it's lots of darker cardstocks and then some nice pretty black and white embellishments and some beautiful shimmery paints. If you want to have a look at the kit, I do have a haul video, which is the video previous to this one, so you can check out what comes in the kit. I do pull a few things from my stash of random bits and bobs as well, most of which are actually from Thompson's craft supplies anyway, but if you want to know where I've got something from that you notice, then please just leave me a comment below. In fact, if any questions, just leave me a comment and I will get back to you. So to begin with, on my layout, I've chosen my paper and my photograph and just trimmed off the branding strip and trimmed down my photo, and then I took the MDF pieces from the kit and I gessoed them so that they're black, ready for me to add some paint to. And I also grabbed a few little bits and bobs from my stash in case I decide to use them as well. Now I'm using stamps here to just create a bit of a interest to the background with some white chalk paint, chalk ink, sorry, and I'm just adding it here and there. Unfortunately my video did cut this bit out, but I've added the marble paste, which also comes in the kit, and that dries really nice and 3D. It's like a texture paste but with really chunky bits of marble in it as well, so it gives a really interesting effect. It does only work on stencils that have got quite large sort of pattern holes in them, otherwise it doesn't kind of go through, so you have to use a chunkier pattern because it's a chunkier texture paste. So whilst everything is drying, I'm going to alter this piece of Hessian. I just want to make it black so it matches in with the rest of the elements that I'm going to be adding to it, and so I've just gessoed that as well. And I've also grabbed my die cut machine that's looking a little worse for wear, and I've cut out a load of butterflies in the solid shape and then also the detailed shape as well. And now I'm just going to grab some white ink and some black ink and I'm going to stamp on top of them. This stamp I'm using here is the one that comes in the kit, the nice checkerboard one, and then I also use a couple of others which came in previous kits or I just purchased from the shop. And this is a scripty one. I think this came in the first kit, the patina one, and it's just got a scripty font across it, and I'm stamping on a slight angle because the butterfly is slightly bigger than the stamp, but all I do is stamp it on one side and then just add to the stamp to the little edge where it's missing, as you'll see in a second. With this one I'm lining it up slightly, sorry for my head, because it's a checkerboard, so obviously I want it to be fairly accurate. And now finally I'm going to add white chalk ink to this stamp here and add it to the Hessian. This didn't actually turn out as clear as I thought it might do. I think it was still a bit wet as well, my Hessian. I don't think it quite dry, but it didn't really work out how I wanted, but it still did do a bit of a pattern. I think I do lift it to the camera so you can kind of see a bit, so you can vaguely see the pattern, but I do go in later and just ink the edges of that with white ink, and that kind of brings out a bit more interesting texture there. So now I've just added layered up my butterflies by adding some glue just to the centerpiece, and as you can see now I'm just adding ink around the edge of there, which sort of makes it blend in better with my background. And now pretty much everything that I glue down is using the 3D glass gel here. It works so well for adding fabric to paper and adding more 3D elements. It means that it doesn't just come off. It takes a while to dry, but once it's dry it's really nice and secure. I'm using just a small piece of this pattern paper. Sorry if it's a bit blurry on camera, it's because it's a small black and white pattern. it messes with the screen a little bit. So I'm just adding that on there, and then I'm adding a couple of these MDF elements to the background too. I do take my paintbrush and just get rid of the gel from in between just to blend it in so that it does dry clear anyway, but I decided to just neaten it up a bit off camera. Now I'm just adding another paper layer. I do add foam in the middle just so that it lifts everything off the page more, and I'm just adding some black soot distress ink around this other pattern paper from the kit so that it goes well with the background really. If I'd left it clean cut, I don't think it would have gone with the messy background. And finally I'm adding some cheesecloth or gauze, depending what you call it, to the back of my photo. I let that dry, and then once it's completely dry I then go around and trim off the edges and then ruffle them back up again so it doesn't look all neat. And then again a little bit more foam and a little bit more gel to bond those together, and that is my paper cluster behind my photo finished. I do sometimes build from front to back, but sometimes I'll start with the photo and build backwards, but I find when I want to build lots and lots of layers, I find that working from the base up works better for me. I tend to then create more layers. So I've added my title. I didn't really want a big title on this. I couldn't find anything that worked for me, so I've just added some little stickers that are clear stickers just with writing on them, and just add them around my photo just so there's a couple of words in there. And now I'm adding flowers from the kit around the edge, again using that gel to help them stick down. And then I just once I've added quite a few, I then let it dry, and then I go back in, add a few more, let that dry. So I just keep coming back to it, which I have to do anyway because I have to do nursery runs and things like that. So now I'm adding a few bits from Rainbow Resins. Those are all the little embellishments in that box. So I'm just adding a few of them here and there. And I've added more gel around the edges, and I'm adding this blue glass glitter by Prima, I believe. There may be some in stock. I know that Louise does stock it. And now I'm deciding where to place my butterflies. I don't like them being solid. I like the double layer, so I've added the intricate design on top. I also decided to use 2 white butterflies with black on top rather than one of each because I thought it just looked better. And now I'm just gluing those down. I'm using a paintbrush this time because I only need a bit in the middle because I want obviously the wings to pop up off the page. I've also added a couple more flowers there as well. I've just grabbed some white paper, stamped on it, and punched out a couple of checkerboard little flowers. They're really tiny, you can't really see them, but the overall effect are there, you know, just an extra embellishment. And now again I'm just adding a few more little resin flowers and glitter shapes and things. And now these are the art pebbles by Prima, and I'm just gluing them here and there around the edge, and then adding some of the paint which came in the kit. I'm painting over the top of them. You can just paint the bottom so that the colour just shines up through the pebble, but I chose to paint on top. I wanted that rough texture finish to it. And then as well as that I'm just adding a little wash of colour here and there, just hints of it around the layout. I decided to just do a little bit of a close-up before I add a bit more here. So this is pretty much done. I've let everything dry overnight at this point so that when I go in to add just a few more bits, nothing's going to fall off or move out of place. So now I've just added a couple more flowers, some of these pearl flourishes I've had since I did card making, so they're probably about a decade old, and a few pearls. Obviously you can just get those little pearls anywhere, just to create the body of my butterflies. And now I'm just adding a touch more of that paint. You do get 3 colours in the kit, and this is just, I just use 1 for this layout. And as you can see, I just want to add a hint of it on the paper, a hint of it on the butterflies, a bit over the texture paste. And that is me about done. I just add, using this little fan brush, I add a little bit of water, and then I test it on the card there, and then go around the edge and add splashes of that. And then off camera I do the same thing but with white acrylic paint, and that is me done. So thanks for joining me today. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't already and you'd like to see more from me. I have created a Thompson's craft supply playlist of all my previous projects that use the kits from Louise, so you can check that out if you want to watch my previous videos. And do check out the shop. I'll leave links below to the shop and the Facebook group. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.